Hello, thank you for joining me today to discuss the dangers of social media. How can it be that something so beneficial in the hands of our children can also be so dangerous? Technology, that is, it has its advantages, but it also has its disadvantages. And we as adults, we have to be very mindful and intentional about protecting our future, that is, our children. My name is Ricardo Perry. I'm an author, an advocate, and a mentor. My background is law enforcement. I was a police officer for 12 years, and 10 out of the 12 years I spent working in the school as a school resource officer. While there, developed a few youth development programs, a few mentoring programs. But ultimately, my passion and my desire is to make sure our children are protected. So when I realized that social media was a major issue among several of the students that I was working with, I decided to create this presentation just to share some information regarding social media. So in this presentation, we are going to discuss the safety risk that several social media apps pose to our children. We'll also discuss some laws that affect juveniles, and then we'll discuss some resources or tools that adults and parents can use to protect our children. Some of the things that we're going to talk about in this presentation are dangerous apps, social media catfishing. We'll talk about secret and hidden apps, teen sexting, which is another major issue. We'll discuss monitoring mobile devices, what that looked like, and then we'll discuss some other options. So let's get started. The Monkey app. Have you ever heard of this app before? Yeah, me neither. Not until about a year ago, or maybe a little over a year ago. But the Monkey app, it's a pretty popular app among our children. And this app, it allows kids to have chats with other individuals from across the world. So the way it works is when they open the app, it randomly matches them with another user for a brief introductory video call. If they're interested in each other, they can request that more time be added, or they can connect with the other user through Snapchat. And we'll talk about Snapchat later. Some similar apps: Stranger Chat, Hala, Omigo, Meet Me, Mocha. All of these apps, they're similar to the Monkey app. And most of these apps, sometimes the developers may change the name of the apps, but the functionality is still the same. This is a dating app. It's called Down Dating. This particular dating app connects people, local individuals who are looking to date. And yes, our children use these dating apps. Users can swipe right if they like a profile, or they can swipe left to skip it. If two users swipe right together, they're connected with each other and can begin conversations. Now, the app states that you have to be at least 17 years or older to use the app. But as you know, most developers do not confirm the ages of or the birthday of our children. So, you can input any birth date and they will assume that's the correct birth date. Some similar apps, you have Yubo, The League, you have Wanna Meet, Tinder, Tinder Plus. Many people are familiar with those particular dating apps, but there's several other dating apps out there, but these are some of the ones that many of the youth tend to use. Instagram. Most of us are familiar with Instagram. Instagram is a photo sharing app. It allows you to share photos or share videos, and you can add cool effects or captions. But the big thing with Instagram is many youth, they tend to use Instagram to get a large amount of followers or a large amount of reaction to their pictures or their videos, reactions or likes. One of the issues that I found with Instagram and our children is that they sometimes create what we call a Finstagram. A Finstagram is a fake Instagram, and typically the individuals that follow children on the fake Instagram are non-adults or non-parental figures, just the adults that they don't want to see the things that they post. Typically, it's individuals that they're familiar with and that they feel they can be their more authentic selves. Now, Instagram accounts, they're automatically public, but that setting can be changed to private, and you would have to manually change it once you or your child establish an Instagram account. Now, Snapchat. Snapchat is probably the most popular of the social media apps for children, young adults. In fact, most teenagers prefer Snapchat over Facebook. But Snapchat, while it's the most popular, it is also, in my opinion, the most dangerous of them all. What is Snapchat? So with Snapchat, you can snap an image or video, put a caption on it or some filters. You can either send it to your friends directly, or you could put it on what we call your story. Typically, most snaps are on one's story for about 24 hours, and then it disappears, it goes away. If an individual sends a snap directly to you, you may have an opportunity to replay the snap, but after you replay it, most of the time it disappears. Now, of course, you can screenshot the app or screen record. You can screenshot the image or you can screen record the video. But if you do that, then the other user will know that you screenshot. Of course, there's ways around that, and people typically find ways around it. Snapchat also have what we call Snap Map. You can, if your location is set to own, you could actually see where a person is at any given moment when they're using their Snap. They have an additional feature that include the Discover section, where explicit magazines and articles are displayed. And then you have what we call the Snap Streaks, or what our children call Snap Streaks. They are able to sustain daily contact with their friends with Snap Streaks. I've seen students with Snap Streaks for 365 days, because every single day, what they do is they send a picture and they receive a picture. And if two users do that every single day, Snapchat keeps a record of that, and they create the Snap Streaks. And so streaks are a pretty popular thing among Snapchat. We have YOLO. YOLO It's uh, it's not as new anymore. However, when it first came out, it was a very, very popular app. It's still very popular. And we'll talk about some other apps that's similar to YOLO. But YOLO is an anonymous question asking app. When it first came out a little over a year ago, a week after it was launched, it was rated #1 in the US. That's how popular it became. You can only use it through Snapchat. And what the users typically do is they add a Ask Me Anything sticker to their Snap story. And then the individuals that view the story can slide up or swipe up and ask any question or make any comment. The user will respond and they'll be posted along with the question to the Snap story. Now, users are able to preview the questions or the comment, and they can actually choose not to answer it and post it. So that's a good part of the YOLO app is, individuals can choose whether or not they want to answer the question or post it to their story. Some similar apps: Whisper, Ask FM. These are pretty old apps, but one of the most recent ones before YOLO became popular was an app called Lipsy. You may have heard of Lipsy before, but again, it's this anonymous, you can make a statement, a comment, or post a question, and no one will know who asked the question or who made the statement. And we'll talk about the dangers of those apps. So what are the dangers? Well, one of the dangers to all of those apps that I mentioned, and again, there are hundreds, thousands of apps out there, and all really have similar functions to it. I chose these particular apps because these are some of the more common apps that students typically use. But the danger with most of these apps is it's a hotbed for sexual predators. There's a lot of human trafficking, teen sex trafficking going on, and one of the most common ways that predators are grooming and soliciting these children is through social media. It's emotionally challenging. You think about the Monkey app. If you got a young lady on the Monkey app, and every time she goes on, a young man pops up and doesn't think she's attractive, so they don't want to have conversation with her. Imagine that happening over and over and over again. Yeah, that becomes emotionally challenging. Another issue or danger is our children, they tend to share a lot of personal information through social media. Their location, their address, sometimes their school, their teacher, the grade they're in. They may even share their full name and actual birth date. Sometimes they share way too much personal information. That's another danger. Cyberbullying is a huge issue among social media. Sexting is another huge issue among social media. And we'll talk about sexting a little bit later. And then catfishing. Most of you are familiar with what catfishing is. So we'll talk a little bit about it. Social media catfishing, it's basically, just in case you don't know, it is someone pretending to be someone else on Facebook or other social media platforms. They create a false identity, and sometimes this is used specifically for cyberbullying. Sometimes individuals create catfish accounts to solicit inappropriate photos from minors. Sometimes they created, sexual predators create catfish accounts, again, so that they can prey on our vulnerable children. So how do we catch a catfish account? So the way we catch a catfish, and no, it's not with a fishing rod. You would actually need to you could do a few things. You can Google image search the image of the profile. So, typically if it's a catfish account, they found the photo online, and you can do a Google image search to figure out where that photo has been used in other places. You can actually Google their name to see, what pops up when that name is Google. If it's a catfish account, more than likely that name may have been used before. Are there multiple photos with them interacting with others in their profile? Some catfish accounts, you may get one actual picture with a human being in it, and then several other pictures of objects or memes or tattoos on different body parts, but you won't see any more pictures of the individual face. And then you can request them to FaceTime you or video chat. So if you're concerned about if an individual is real and they're talking with your student, your child, request a video chat. Most catfish accounts will not consent to a video chat. In fact, you may find yourself deleted and blocked from their profile. So let's talk about some secret and hidden apps. There's this one particular app, it's called the Calculator app. It looks like a calculator, it functions like a calculator. However, it is also an app where you can hide your photos and your videos, and you can even browse through the internet in this app. Now, the question you have to ask yourself, if you have children and they have a mobile device, what purpose would my child have to hide photos from me? Right? Now, we understand sometimes kids may hide their pictures and videos from their friends because it's goofy or embarrassing, but why would they want to hide pictures and videos from parents? The way this app works, when you download it, you enter a PIN and confirm the PIN, and then that PIN you can use to get into the app. But if you plug in 2 plus 2, it's going to say equal 4. So it works just like a calculator. It looks just like a calculator, but you won't know it's a calculator unless you do some specific things, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that. Snapchat also has a secret compartment, if you will. Snapchat typically accesses your camera roll, and the pictures that you take through Snapchat sometimes is saved. But there's another part of Snapchat, it's called My Eyes Only, where you establish a PIN and you can put videos and pictures that you receive in Snapchat or through Snapchat in My Eyes Only. And the only way to access those pictures or videos is through the PIN. Now, the way Snapchat has this set up, there is no PIN recovery. So if your child loses the PIN or refuses to give up the PIN, if you enter the wrong PIN X amount of times, it will delete everything in My Eyes Only. So the question you have to ask yourself again is, why does my child need to hide anything, particularly photos and videos from me? So how do we discover secret or hidden apps in our children's phone? Well, you can search the App Store. Typically, with Apple products, when you go into the App Store, type in secret apps or hidden apps. If an app is on the phone, or rather if the app is not on the phone, it will offer you the opportunity to get it. If it was on the phone at one point in time, it will offer you the opportunity to re-download it. And then if it's on the phone, it will say open. Now, if it says open, just relax, calm down. But just know that secret or hidden app is on your child's phone. And then when you spot check your child's phone, which I know most parents do, if there's an app on there that you're not familiar with, ask them about it. Tell them about it. Tell them about it. Tell them what you learned about it if you Googled it, and then have them tell you about it. But in the end, to discover hidden apps on your child's mobile device, you need to monitor, monitor, monitor. That's the best advice I could give you on how to find hidden apps on your child's phone. So let's talk about teen sexting. Teen sexting is sex texting. In a nutshell, it is sending or receiving sexually explicit or suggestive images through a cell phone or computer. And most of the time, the pictures are nude or partially nude, selfies, or actual videos of sex acts. One of the questions that comes up often is, why do teens sext? Well, one of the reasons, there's several reasons, but the reasons that I observed and have listed is, one of the reasons is, pressure from their girlfriend or boyfriend. When teens are starting to develop their sense of self, or even if their self-esteem is a little bit low or shaky, and that girlfriend or that boyfriend is pressuring them to send inappropriate photos of themselves, they typically give in to that. Another reason is it's a mean of demonstrating commitment in a relationship. It's like a relationship currency. If you're my girlfriend and you're loyal to me, I'm loyal to you, we should be able to send naked photos of each other without worrying other people are going to get it. Some kids do it to show off or get attention. Some do it to entice a person they're interested in or flirting with that individual. Some adults groom. It's a grooming tactic that some adults use on children to get them to send nude photos of themselves. And the last reason, which I think is probably one of the most common ones, is that, our kids, they're just not thinking. They are not thinking. They're not thinking about the consequences of this particular act. So let's talk consequences. What are the consequences for sexting? One of the consequences is that that picture can be shared with others. And I think sometimes teens, they forget that. Revenge porn, I've seen it happen where, a boyfriend gets angry that the girlfriend broke up with them, and they post all of the new photos that they have of their girlfriend on social media. Reputations can be in jeopardy. I've seen that happen plenty of times. Adults can see the inappropriate photo. You got a group of kids sitting in the back and they're all looking at a phone, and the teacher walks up, hey, what you guys looking at? And see the inappropriate photo of possibly someone in the classroom. So adults can see it. But there's also an emotional aspect of sexting. Just imagine someone's picture getting out to a whole bunch of other folks. Now, that child is going to go through an emotional distress, and I've seen that happen plenty of times. And then, of course, there's legal ramifications. Now, I'm not going to go into detail about these specific statutes, but these are South Carolina child pornography laws. It's against the law to disseminate harmful material, and that harmful material is basically any material that is harmful to minors. This could be photos or videos of adults. So consequence up to 10 years in jail. But it's also illegal to disseminate obscene material to persons under the age of 18. So an individual under the age of 18 years of age or older, an individual 18 years of age or older who knowingly sends a person under the age of 18 material that they know is obscene, is guilty of felony, and can be charged with child pornography laws. Now, both of these statutes, they apply to both juveniles and adults. One's for juveniles, one specifically for juveniles, and can be for adults. and the other one is just for adults. But truth is, and I tell children this all the time, even the victims, like they could be in trouble as well for sending the inappropriate photo of themselves because they're a child, and it still constitute child pornography. Um, uh, Another particular law is the federal law under the End the Exploitation of Children Today Act of 2003. It makes it illegal again to distribute um, obscene material of minors. But this particular law has a clause specifically for parents. You know, if parents allow the behavior, they know it's taking place, and they're not doing anything to stop it, they also can be prosecuted. All right, so what are some things that we could do to deal with sexting? We need to be proactive. We can't just sit and wait for it to happen or get that phone call from school administration telling us an incident has occurred involving sexting. We need to be proactive, and we need to have these conversations with our children. We need to have ongoing communication. So the conversation doesn't need to be just one time. It needs to be ongoing communication. And ask questions. Ask your child these questions. Ask them what they understand about sexting. Ask them what they understand about sex. And you want to be the ones to have this conversation with them, because if you don't have it as the parent, if you don't have that conversation with them, their peers will have that conversation with them, and their peers may give them a definition of these things that you may not want them to have. You want to express consequences, you know, those things that we just talked about. Let them know that these are consequences that can happen. But you want to create an action plan. What are you going to do if you find out that your child has been sending inappropriate photos? What are you going to do if you find out that someone has been sending your child inappropriate photos? You want to discuss consent. You know, our children need to fully understand what it means to say no. They need to understand what it means to hear no. And so you know, if it comes to a place where you know you need to report it to law enforcement, report it to law enforcement. But you want to be proactive. You know, I say it again because that's probably the most important part of this whole dealing with sexting. You want to be proactive. And so one of the ways to be proactive, not only in having the conversations, but you want to monitor those mobile devices. Sometimes parents are asked the question, is it better to monitor constantly or just teach my kid how to behave online? My answer, both. But you want to ask yourself this question: can I trust my kid? Is my kid mature enough to handle their mobile device without me having to constantly monitor it? You know your kid better than anybody else, so you can answer that question. And then you might wonder, where should you draw the line with monitoring? Should I read every text message? Should I look at every photo? Should I read you know, every message on the social media apps? You want to draw that line. You want to establish the boundaries. Should I use digital monitoring or ask for the phone? Again, this might be a situation where you want to do both. How much can you trust your kid? How mature is your kid? You may have to put a monitoring software on the phone just because, you know, your child may have not been honest with you in the past about various situations, and you want to make sure that they're doing the right thing. Or you could just do spot checks. I love spot checks, you know, especially if you're in the car with your kid and they got their head down because they're into that phone. As soon as you get to the house, or you know, get to a place where you stopped, hey, let me hold your phone and do a spot check. Now kids are smart. They'll typically delete stuff from their phone, but if you can get it before they delete it, then you'll be doing a great job. But why do we want to monitor the phone? We want to protect them from online predators. We want to prevent the oversharing that kids typically do on social media. We want to prevent sexting, exposure to inappropriate content. And then, of course, we want to protect them from these dangerous apps. Now there are some settings built in on the iPhone and Android where you can apply some restrictions without um, downloading a specific parental app, and we'll talk a little bit about parental apps here in a minute. But in iPhones, you go to your settings, you go to screen time, content privacy restriction, and again, this is all done on your kid's phone. You want to enable restriction and then set a passcode for only you. Don't give the passcode to your kid. If you give your passcode to the kid, it defeats the purpose. So you want to set that passcode only for you, and you can actually, the way iPhone has it set up, you can change some of the settings to their phone through your phone through the family sharing option. With Android, go to your Open Play Store, setting parental control, turn parental control on, create that PIN, and then choose what type of filter or restriction you want to place on the phone. Some popular parental controls out there. TeenSafe. TeenSafe is actually a pretty good one. I've used TeenSafe in the past. Custodio is another good one. Custodio have a free version and a paid version. Again, you're going to get what you pay for. And then mSpy. mSpy is the only parental control app that I know of currently that can monitor Snapchat. One of my favorites is the Bark app. Bark is a pretty popular parental control app, and it's very effective. Bark actually monitors several different platforms, text messages, emails, social activity, for signs of harmful interaction or content. So they actually have an algorithm that detect a potential risk and notify the parents of the content. So like profanity, sexting, signs of bullying, depression, threats, all of these things, suicidal thoughts, Bark will notify the parents. So you get alerts, and then you get recommendations on how to have these conversations about digital danger with your child. Bark is $9 a month. Again, free stuff. You're gonna get what you pay for, and if you don't pay anything, you probably won't get a whole lot of anything. But Bark is a pretty good parental control app. Now, you want to keep your kids busy. I've always said a child left to themselves is a danger to themselves, and so if a child got a whole lot of time in their hand, then they can get into a lot of trouble. And then as parents, you want to be involved. Be involved with them at home, be involved with them in the school, be involved with them in the community. And then you want to be open and honest about your life, about your past. You don't want to present yourself as a parent or an adult that has never did anything wrong. Be open and honest, because children, they want to be able to relate to their parents. And so you want to have that type of relationship where your child can be able to relate to you. And then find them a mentor. I'm a very strong advocate for mentoring. I don't care how good of a parent you feel that you are. I do believe every child should have another responsible adult that they can go to talk to. And then you want to keep them busy. Did I say that already? Yeah, keep them busy. I am on social media, Snapchat, RJ Perry 20, Facebook, or Ricardo Perry, and then Instagram, Ricardo_Perry 84. Like I said, I'm an author of A Gift Worth Fighting For. This book is really designed to give some resources and tools to adults, specifically parents, when working with children. Anytime children begin to act out, the first thing that we're ready to do is tell them what they need to do to fix themselves. Well, this book tells us as adults what we need to do in order for our children to do better. It is on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. If you are interested, it's a short read, but it's full of practical information. Thank you.